Taiwan is proposing a $100 billion general budget for next year, with around a third of that going to defense, which will require more government debt.
中央这种总预算再加上特别预算，两项加起来，举债刚好是4000亿元。
One of Taiwan's U.S.-made Patriot missiles exploded during a test launch. But why? Taiwan's former ally Nauru says it has secured a massive new investment deal with a Chinese company, raising concerns with its security partner Australia. Plus, a proposed extension of Taiwan's high-speed rail to northeastern Yilan is one step closer to reality, but not all residents are happy about it.
转乘跟候车时间怎么可能去造成那个节省旅行时间的24%的一个经济效益呢？这个完全是谎言，是骗人的。
Good evening, and welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Eric Gao. The cabinet has announced its plans for next year's budget, with around a third of it slated for defense. It comes as Taiwan faces growing pressure to ramp up military spending. Leslie Liao has more.
Taiwan's cabinet has approved a general budget of close to $100 billion for next year. That's about $3.5 billion more than what was budgeted for this year. The spending plan is more than what the government expects to bring in revenue. There's about a $5.5 billion discrepancy. Premier Zhou Rongtai says that the government plans to take on debt in order to make up the difference.
中央这种总预算再加上特别预算，两项加起来，举债刚好是4000亿元。
Taiwan has been facing calls from the U.S. and other allies to increase its defense spending. Earlier this year, Taiwan President Lai Ching-te vowed to bring it up to over 3% of GDP. And the cabinet seems to have followed through with a defense budget of about $31 billion. That's just over 3.3%. But the cabinet achieved this number by consolidating Taiwan's military, veterans benefits, and Coast Guard budgets into the same category, which hasn't been done before. But it's a method that NATO abides by.
这样子一个做法，我个人会认为最直接的就是要去对美国有一个应对的策略，或者是在现在的话，我们也是跟上北约的计算方式，因为北约有蛮多的国家，它也是利用这个方式去让它的国防预算有所成长。
There are two reasons why defense spending is so vital. Number one, Taiwan faces threats of invasion from China, and it needs to build up its arsenal to deter Beijing. Number two is because Taiwan's biggest military partner, the U.S., wants to see Taiwan take its own defense seriously before making greater defense commitments to Taipei. This budget proposal still requires legislative approval. Last year, the cabinet also proposed a general budget of close to $100 billion. But when that budget proposal went to the legislature decided to cut it by a record 7%. So the numbers we're seeing today are by no means final. Ryan Wu, Justin Wu, and Leslie Liao for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's Air Force saw a rare missile test failure during the launch of a U.S.-made Patriot missile on Wednesday. While the cause is still being looked into, some experts say mishaps like these help make the military stronger. Alan Liu reports.
This is the moment one of Taiwan's U.S.-purchased Patriot PAC-2 missiles exploded in its test launch. During a recent Air Force live-fire drill at around 5:30 in the morning on Wednesday, just 4 seconds after launching, the missile detonated early in an apparent self-destruction. A minute later, a second was fired and performed as expected. The Defense Ministry says they're still looking into what went wrong with the first launch. One lawmaker on the legislature's defense committee says it's all part of the learning process.
那我相信，那每一次的演训就是替我们国军去寻找出更好的解决方案，还有一些问题点在哪里，那能够更让我们准备好未来面对战时挑战时的各种状况。
The Patriot 2 is an advanced air defense missile system, mainly tasked with shooting down enemy aircraft and incoming missiles before they can hit their targets. Experts say the system's radars are the key to its effectiveness, but may also have been at the root of this one's failure.
这个爱国者2型它是完全这个惯性导引，然后它要透过这个雷达去追踪目标之后呢，一直不断的跟它修正它的这个拦截方向，所以它是一种这个半主动的导引方式。那它很可能是在也许在中途它也许这个雷达讯号脱锁啊或什么原因，那它发现这个讯号中断嘛，它为了安全起见，它就自行引爆。
The recent live-fire drills of Taiwan's east coast also included test launches of the Taiwan-made Skysword 2 and Skybow 3. The Air Force says the drills are meant to enhance realistic training and ensure the overall combat capability of the armed forces. John Su and Ellen Liu for TaiwanPlus.
An official survey finds over 80% of Taiwanese people would prefer that Taiwan and China's relationship remain basically the same. The survey was commissioned by Taiwan's Mainland Affairs Council, which manages relations with China. Over 70% of respondents disagreed with the statement that Taiwan is part of China, while around 65% believed China's infiltration into Taiwan has become increasingly serious in recent years. Former Taiwanese ally Nauru says it has secured a $1 billion Australian development project from a Chinese company. The Nauruan government says this project will develop key sectors, including renewable energy, fisheries, and water resources. The deal has raised concern in Australia, which just months ago signed a treaty with Nauru, promising support in return for a veto on matters of national security. But there's no record of the Chinese company in question in any documents, and some in Australia doubt the deal will go through, as Nauru's population of 12,000 does not justify the scale of this claimed investment. For more on the deal that Nauru signed, Alec McDonald spoke to Graham Smith, Senior Fellow at the Australian National University.
So alarm bells are ringing in Australia after Nauru signed a $1 billion Australian deal with an obscure Chinese company. What are you hearing there?
Look, my counsel is that this is probably a scam and that people in Australia shouldn't be too alarmed by it. No one has heard of this company. No one particularly knows who this guy is, this fellow Zhang Yong who's shown up. And even on the Nauru side, it's not entirely clear who's negotiating this. So I really think it's very unlikely to amount to anything other than possibly a rather low-level scam by a Chinese individual.
Is this unprecedented that one of these deals does turn out to be a scam because China does conduct real diplomacy, albeit very shadowy, with other Pacific Island nations?
Not unprecedented at all. And Nauru itself has a long history of being scammed, not just by Chinese operators, but by Russian mafia operators. It really does have a track record of falling for this kind of thing. Now, in terms of Chinese operators in the Pacific, there's a long and glorious history. Recently, there was a fisheries park that was meant to be being built in the south of Papua New Guinea. It was just a couple of guys from Fujian who were chancing their arm. They didn't have the backing, they didn't have the resources, and unsurprisingly, it didn't happen. Similarly, in Solomon Islands, there was a more serious bid by a group called China SAM, who were trying to build allegedly a military base in the Solomon Islands. They were a bit more of a serious proposition. So again, this sort of murky businessmen, are they connected to the state? Are they not connected to the state?
Are there signs that this is a scam? Do we have records of this company even existing?
This is sort of a next level, at least with the fisheries park, they were a registered company in Papua New Guinea, sure, they only had 2 staff, but, they were a registered company. There's no record of this company. So this is the irony of it. The other deals I talked about with China SAM and Zhonghong Fishing in Papua New Guinea, they were at least companies, whereas this appears to be registered precisely nowhere, not in Nauru, not in Hong Kong, not anywhere. So it's almost certainly some sort of scam being pulled by this guy or someone associated with Zhang Yong.
That was Graham Smith from the Australian National University. China has urged deeper security cooperation with Afghanistan and Pakistan during a trilateral meeting. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi made the comments at the talks in Kabul. He urged Afghanistan to formally join China's Belt and Road Initiative, and said that China hopes to explore mining in Afghanistan, which is rich in minerals like lithium, copper, and iron. China will host a military parade on September 3rd, celebrating the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II. One of the main features will be the weapons it will display during that event. To find out more about these weapons and what they signal, reporter Alan Liu spoke with Ling Yiyu, defense analyst at Tamkang University.
What's the significance of China's military, the People's Liberation Army or the PLA, showcasing new weapons in this year's military parade?
对于解放军来讲，他也会希望透过这次阅兵去对外象征他的一个军事实力的成长，特别在军工科研这一块。那我们可以去看到目前的一些画面或者是卫星照片，很明显的有看到里面不管是在使用的是无人的系统啊、无人机啦，或是水下的无人载具啦，这一些都会是他在强调的部分。那以及还有就是在装甲部队、战车或者是一些轻型战车跟重型战车上面，我们都可以去看到它会有一定程度的一个改装，让它可以去符合现代的战场。最直接的就是它可能会加装雷达或者是防空系统，去形成一个有效的去防止无人机对它攻击的一个平台。
China says this parade focuses on unveiling a new generation of weapons. What changes does this reveal about the PLA's modernization?
我觉得一个就是所谓他们的中共经常会说的智能化、AI 化，还有一个是无人化，就是很多的一些武器它必须要无人载具化。我会觉得这个是他在这一次力打的一个目标。今年2025年也刚好是他的一个14.5的一个收官。那接下来的话，为14.5收官的时候展现出这些新武器，也可以去对外代表他的军武科研的研究成果。
Are any of these weapons specifically aimed at Taiwan?
针对台湾，我觉得会是反无人机的武器，因为其实就现在来看的话，我们最近才公布了一些对于无人载具的一些采购的一些订单，或者是一些军用商规的一些武器。那但是我们在使用这些武器的同时，也要去想解放军会不会已经有防范的方法。我会觉得这也是解放军他会在这一次的一个阅兵里面会去展出的一些新武器。
That was Ling Yiyu, a defense analyst at Tamkang University. And coming up after the break, a major event bringing Taiwan's art and culture to Osaka wraps up.
Thank you for sharing our passion for food and Taiwan. Veggie Island explores the vibrant world of plant-based cuisine.
Wow, this is amazing.
While Taiwan on the Rocks uncovers the stories and craftsmanship behind every sip.
Have you ever tried Taiwanese beer?
Are you ready to taste even more of Taiwan?
In the face of adversity, the power of truth.
A roadmap for a just and open world, charted by the freest country in Asia.
Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
TaiwanPlus News, a voice of freedom in Asia.
This month's top hits on TaiwanPlus. This is the summer you've been waiting for.
Shall we get ready today?
Take me to your summer days.
I love it. It's perfect for summertime. It's very pretty.
It's just hotter.
Louder.
Wow, that was amazing.
Yes. And tastier.
A must-have. Perfect treat for summer.
What makes it unforgettable is who you share it with.
Whether you're looking for something exciting or some romance.
This really makes my day.
From Monday to Friday, all you desire this summer, we've got you covered.
Are you ready? Follow me.
Vibrant and original programs exclusively on TaiwanPlus.
Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. Taiwan's export orders continue to rise for the 6th straight month in July, fueled by demand for AI products. It's a more than 15% increase from a year earlier. The economy ministry says despite the growth, traditional industries such as metals remain weak as tariffs weigh on demand. The U.S., China, and Europe are Taiwan's top 3 buyers. Looking ahead, the ministry says global trade tensions make the outlook uncertain, but it still expects more growth in the next month as demand for tech stays strong. A White House effort to swap CHIPS Act grant money for an equity stake in U.S. chipmaker Intel may just be a first step. U.S. officials say such deals could extend to other companies, and the effort is getting support from frequent Trump critics. For more on what the deal could mean for Intel, Chris Gorin spoke to Stacey Razgon, Managing Director and Senior Analyst at Bernstein Research.
U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders, normally a Trump administration critic, has come out in favor of the White House plan to take about a 10% stake in the U.S. chipmaker Intel in exchange for CHIPS Act grants. That would seem to give it at least some bipartisan cover. Do you think this makes the plan materially more likely in the near term?
To be honest, I doubt that anything Bernie Sanders has to say is going to influence this administration one way or the other. It is kind of interesting, though, because the CHIPS Act itself was quite bipartisan. It was actually one of the very few true pieces of bipartisan legislation that actually made it through. And there's a fair amount of grants that were awarded in quite a few states. So it actually makes this whole thing very interesting, because if the Trump administration is saying they want to swap grants for equity now, I don't even know, frankly, if they're allowed to do that. I mean, the CHIPS Act, it was an act of Congress. So I don't know what the Trump administration actually can do. Although, look, I'd say, they don't always care, right? I mean, they typically will go and, they'll try to do whatever they can do and I guess see if anybody tries to stop them.
Even if the deal goes through, do you think the $10.9 billion US injection would be enough to fix the problems that Intel is facing?
I don't think so. It's not big enough. I mean, so again, just for some context, the Ohio project that they delayed. I mean, that was Pat Gelsinger's baby, the old CEO, and now they've delayed that to 2030 or even beyond. They don't need it. They don't need the capacity. That project was originally spec'd at $28 billion. So, I mean, the CHIPS Act money was, again, that $10.9 billion, that was actually supposed to go across, 3 or 4 different locations, Oregon, New Mexico, Arizona, and Ohio. This 10 billion or 11 or whatever it is, it isn't enough. They need more.
If you're Intel CEO Lip-Bu Tan right now, do you take this deal?
Well, again, Lip-Bu may or may not have a choice, right? But it's still, we should talk about what they need. They need more than money. So they need 3 things, in my opinion. Number one, they do need money, sure. Number 2, they need customers. And this is one of the other, let's say they build out Ohio. Let's say they hand them $28 billion and they go build out Ohio. Great. What are they going to fill it with? Right? If you don't have customers, you're just digging a hole and throwing $28 billion into it and then setting it on fire, right? I mean, you need customers. And some folks have speculated that maybe the Trump administration would force or encourage customers to use Intel and help to get the business. The problem with that is that they need a third thing, capability. And this is something that they have not yet proven that they have. And my own view is you don't need to force customers to use Intel. If Intel can prove that they can deliver products at these advanced manufacturing nodes in spec, at a good cost structure and on time, they will have customers lined up around the block to use it. If they cannot prove that they can do those things, and those are table stakes for running a foundry business, if they can't prove that they can do that, nobody's going to put any material volume there. How could you bet your own roadmap on Intel's ability to execute if you're not convinced that they can?
That was Stacey Razgon from Bernstein Research. A plan to extend Taiwan's high-speed rail line eastwards from Taipei has passed an environmental review. But amid optimism that the project will better connect Yilan County residents, concerns over performance and unintended impacts persist. John Van Trieste reports.
People traveling to Taiwan's northeast coast may get there a bit faster in the future. An environmental review board has given the green light to a long-awaited plan to extend the high-speed rail line 60 kilometers, bridging rugged terrain, easing travel bottlenecks, and bringing the 450,000 people of Yilan County much closer to the rest of the country. Some locals are thrilled, even though the project will likely take more than a decade to finish.
是一个必须要施作的一个重大的百年重大工程。高铁让宜兰能够进入全台一日生活圈。
But while the plan may satisfy regulators, it is controversial. Opponents say claims of faster travel times are overblown, not because the trains aren't fast enough, but because the new Yilan station may be hard to get to and not close to where most travelers will want to go. It's a problem several other out-of-the-way stations on the existing line already have.
转乘跟候车时间怎么可能去造成那个节省旅行时间的24%的一个经济效益呢？这个完全是谎言，是骗人的。
Workers at the Taiwan Railway Corporation are cautiously optimistic. Transport officials say that when high-speed rail projects open, conventional rail benefits too.
96年高铁通车的时候，台铁的运量每日是45万，现在每天是65万，两者明明就是互补，互相成长。
But the railway union says high volume doesn't necessarily translate into profit. And in fact, low ticket prices and a shrinking population already mean it's hard to break even. This project, they worry, will be an extra blow to the conventional railway's finances, affecting all its operations.
其实北宜高铁的这个计划最后建成了之后，台铁的这个亏损其实是会直接冲击到我们在全台各地的这个铁路运输的。对，因为我们提到的是旅运量，不是整体的收支。
Some people living along the planned route also worry about the impact that elevated rail lines may have on where they live. The project promises to link Yilan to the next stop in Taipei in just 20 minutes. But final approval for the construction projects may not come until the end of the year or the beginning of next year, with 11 years of construction to follow. And if opponents have their way, the whole idea will be scrapped. Patrick Chen and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Team Taiwan remains undefeated at the Little League World Series after beating Venezuela 7-3. Taiwan scored twice in the first inning and once in the fourth on bases-loaded walks. In the fifth, pitcher and first baseman Sen Chi-sen hit a bases-clearing double, going 2 for 2 with 2 runs scored and 3 RBIs. The squad will now advance to the international final held in Williamsport in the U.S. state of Pennsylvania. Throughout August, Osaka has been hosting a major cultural event spotlighting Taiwan's culture and history. As the exhibition closes its doors to the public, our reporter Sandy Chi takes a look at the significance of the event.
A multi-sensory journey into the true colors of Taiwan. Telling the story of Taiwan's journey to democracy. And Taiwan's technological prowess. These, all elements of We Taiwan, a cultural event held this August alongside Expo 2025 in Osaka. Over 19 days, the program featured performances, exhibitions, and a variety of activities, attracting around 200,000 visitors. It's the first time Taiwan has hosted such a major cultural event in Japan.
台湾不会放弃任何机会，只要有这样子的世界级的这些活动跟舞台，我们都希望能够参与。用各种的方式去传达我们的声音、我们的样子。那也希望大家因为先认识了台湾的文化，所以能够理解而认识到台湾这个国家。
And unlike previous events held abroad, Taiwan was able to represent itself using its name.
只要参与这样的展会，尤其是跟国际认证形态的展会，台湾这两个字都蛮不容易出现的。
Taiwan has long faced challenges using its name on international platforms due to pressure from China, which claims Taiwan as part of its territory. At last year's Cultural Olympiad, an event held alongside the Paris Summer Games, Taiwan was barred from using its name and instead went by Taipei. And at Expo 2025, Taiwan was represented by Tech World, an exhibition managed by a Taiwanese company based in Japan. But despite these difficulties, Taiwan continues to do what it can to connect with the world.
用台湾为名，当然是因为我们就是台湾。我们也希望人家看见我们就是台湾。台湾不是一个应该被回避的字眼。即使我们使用了台湾的名称，也代表的是我们是台湾人，我们是台湾的文化，它并不是代表一个主权的宣示。
And the name Taiwan actually attracted some visitors to the event.
早期我们这样子在国外跑的时候，其实我觉得当时候台湾
在所谓的文化或者是艺术这一方面的行销，其实我觉得是受限的。逐渐这几年，我觉得不光是政府的部分也好，或者是人民的部分也好，我们对于这种东西，意识性的东西，艺术的东西，我们或者是我们国家的定位，其实我们都非常的认同度是越来越高。
I was really moved that there's such wonderful art in Taiwan. I really learned a lot from that. Also, the projection mapping of Taiwan's scenery was wonderfully beautiful. I really loved it. Since that's the real Taiwan, I want to come back again and spend time taking it easy, not just in the famous cities, but in towns in the countryside.
With We Taiwan officially over, Taiwan has left a lasting impression on the world stage, putting the country and its name in the spotlight. Devon Tai, PT Zhuang, and Sanny Chi for TaiwanPlus.
And thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, take a look at a festival celebrating Amsterdam's maritime history with hundreds of ships and boats taking part. I'm Eric Gao. Take care and see you next time.
I'm Tiffany Wong in Kuala Lumpur, and you're watching TaiwanPlus.